All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Josh Ornelas. I will be giving this presentation today. I'm going to be sharing my screen right now, and we are going to get started on the best practices for remote learning for various content areas. As you can see below, I have a Twitter handle. I highly recommend you checking out Twitter if you haven't done so already. It is an amazing place for resources to check out, to see what people are saying about education, what type of movements are happening, what's trending. Highly recommend to check it out. Also, there's my email down there, drjoshornelas@gmail.com. We are going to be doing this presentation through Pear Deck. So on the bottom, you should say a website, joinpd.com, and then actually go to the code right here up at the top, and it is SFKKNH, and that should probably be out there right now. So go ahead and join. We're going to start the class. All right. So the best way to do this is to get a stress check on your students. This is a great way to see where your students are at as far as their stress wise. So you go ahead and do that for yourself. Start filling out the responses. Let's see what we get. And like I said, it's a great way for you to check in on your students. Are they doing okay? It's a great way on a Monday. You know, students may have suffered some sort of tragic event over the weekend. I mean, all of us have been impacted by COVID some way or another. So please remember to be mindful of your students, that they may be going through some stuff right now. So, okay, so we're going to check the responses. All right, go ahead. And like I said, if you can join, go ahead and fill out those responses. Wait a couple seconds. I see people are starting to come in. Once again, go to joinpd.com, and then the passcode is up at the top, SFKKNH. All right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and actually lock screens. All right, so it looks like a lot of people are feeling good, and then some people are saying, I can't manage my emotions right now. I'm sorry about that. So that's definitely a key for you to be mindful of when your students are coming into the classroom. So the learning objectives. What are our learning objectives today? Well, we're going to understand the various practices that can enhance the remote learning, review current research that supports how our students learn best. Being in my doctoral program, I found a new love for data and research. So I love to do that as much as possible and integrate it in my presentations. Examine different strategies that can support remote learning for all students, as well as discover applications that can make remote learning fun and unique. So let's get started. So, I've seen so many presentations that already talk a lot about this, so I'm just going to breeze by this real quick. Our students right now, they can multitask, the limited attention span. They live in constant fear of missing out, FOMO. So they like to seek validation on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They're stubborn, pragmatic, but they're also entrepreneurial. They like to think of a way to make money off of certain things. I had a student not too long ago when fidget spinners were first coming out, that he would make them with our 3D printer, and he was selling them on the side. Great kid. But here is our newest student. Now, this was actually coined by a gentleman by name of Mark McCrindle down in Australia. Who is this new generation? Because after Z, what comes next? So he started to go with the Greek alphabet, so that being Gen Alpha. Now, this group of individuals, they're the most materially endowed generation ever. Think of all the stuff they have access to. They are true digital natives. However, they become screenagers, meaning the screen was placed in front of them. I know people have probably gone out and they have seen a child there with their parents eating dinner, but in front of them is that screen. Well, that actually has had a negative effect on our students. Because of that, they have shorter attention spans. We need to think about education as a game now. How can we make the learning fun? But they also have an increased digital literacy. But again, the impaired social formation is something to think about when it comes to the students. To think about with the students, because since the screen is in front of them, they're not socializing with mom and dad. So you got to remember that. So the best practices from in-person learning apply to distance learning. Well, what do we need to do? We need to model expectations, provide reminders, and give students ample opportunity to practice. And remember to give students grace as we all adapt to this new learning environment. So we're all on the same boat right now. Some of you are parents out there. Some of you may be taking care of a loved one or someone that's sick. We need to make sure that we're being understanding on both ends of the spectrum. So true or false? According to the National Board of Professional Teaching, the recommendation amount of structured school time for different grade bands is the following: 1 to 2 hours for elementary, 2 to 3 hours for middle school, or 3 to 4 hours for high school. True or false? Okay, and we're going to thank Mr. Dwight Schrute for showing up today. Thank you, Dwight. And go ahead and we'll check those responses right now. The responses are growing. So think about it. Think about your own classroom. Think about maybe what you're hearing from other neighboring districts or neighboring areas, schools that have not been in session. What are things that are going to be coming in time? Okay. 27 out of 45 responses. We'll go ahead and then, like I said, wait about one more second. All right. So 21 numbers still growing is true, and B, false. Actually, it is true. You want to think about your time with your students. While it may be tempting to think about it as broken up, where you want to do 20 minutes of this, 20 minutes of that, 20 minutes of this, that doesn't give students enough time to really truly practice that new skill, because they may have a distraction. I mean, just a little bit ago, there was a helicopter that flew by and made a lot of noise. So there's distractions that are happening inside of the student's home. So we need to give them as much time as possible. Also, what is the ultimate learning goal? What are we trying to accomplish? So backwards planning is definitely an option to think about when you're actually thinking about your lesson plans as well. So we'll show sponsors one more time. Great job, everybody. So we need to model expectations. So right down there, there is a question that you could respond to. What other ways can educators show consistency? Okay, you as an educator. Well, we need to make sure we're consistent. We need to make sure that we're on time when we're going to be on time, when class is going to end, when it's going to end. Just have a consistent time that is going to be a blanket across the board. Central Hub, do you have a learning management system that you use, like Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas? Do you have a website? Do you use a Twitter? Like, what do you use so parents and students could go there and get all the stuff that they need? Video conference guidelines. Set up these video conferencing guidelines for you and do them with your students. Anytime you include students in a process, they're going to feel this sense of entitlement. They're going to be excited that they're being part of something that involves structure, and they hold each other accountable. Where Johnny, who's doing something that they said they wouldn't do in class, a student could easily say, "Hey, Johnny, you're not supposed to do that. We agreed that that was against the school rules." So again, yeah. And like I was saying earlier, constantly reinforce and remind the students what the end goal is. What are they going to be able to do once they do this? So let's take a look and let's see some responses about what people are saying. Okay. So lesson slides that state exactly what is going to be learned, what is expected of them. Teachers expect students to pay attention. Teachers should not be distracted, but give your students your full attention. Absolutely. Be present. Routines. Seesaw is really great with the little ones. Let's see, teaching style, class formats, discipline, clear expectations. If you say something, do it. Yes, they will remember. Trust me. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and every now and then her teacher will have like sort of like Disney parties or something like that. And when the teacher forgot one day, best believe what my daughter told me as soon as school was over. So they're gonna make sure you remember that stuff. Use the same format for repeating activities. Yes. Okay. Just like in the classroom, try to do this, is imitate it as much as possible. So that way, when they do transition into the classroom, they understand that there's some sort of process and routine. Okay. Keep open communication with students and parents during schools. Absolutely. Communication. Really great stuff. Be flexible. Absolutely. Great stuff, everybody. So what can we do? Well, let's create something new. That's what we do as educators. We look at something and how can we make it better? So let's do that with our lesson plans. We can look at different ways to make the learning experience be at home with things that are happening around the area, online simulations. So for example, online simulations and create projects. Okay. So for example, most students, if now have the opportunity and the ability to get online, so they can search and do research. So doing something that involves math or art or those type of activities where you say, all right, you need to find a plot of land and you need to redesign it. Or you have to completely resod it. You need to put new grass. You need to put a playground. Have these students do projects that they're going to be able to actually use in life. Being able to use measurements and square footage. These are life skills that the students can do when you create these type of projects. Maker activities. Have students take things apart and put it back together, or get something out of cardboard. We all have cardboard because I'm sure all of us have been getting stuff from Amazon, and have them recreate something inside their house, but only using cardboard. So having them do things that we are trying to make them do is really crucial. Using their hands, being creative, critically thinking, collaborating with one another, and most importantly, involving voice and choice. Voice and choice, again, is so great because, like I said, when you get the students involved in the process of learning, they're going to be excited because they're going to tell you what excites them. And if you could figure out a way, your challenge is to figure out a way how to integrate that into your lesson plans. So again, create a supportive environment. How else can educators create a sense of community and support? Okay. Creating virtual office hours. We saw that a little bit ago. So having those hours where if you say like Friday, we're not going to have class, but from 8 to 10 a.m., I'm going to be there. Okay. Being consistent with that stuff. Because again, they will remember and they will probably reach out to you during that time. And the one time you don't do it, that's the time they're going to reach out to you. So make sure you always have that consistent time with them. Create groups. Create learning groups with the students. For example, how are we going to integrate one of the 4 C's, collaboration, if the students don't have an understanding of how to collaborate with one another? So create groups, learning groups with one another. We can create breakout rooms in Zoom. And I think for Google, it's going to be coming out soon as well. Call families. I think is what's really awesome is that we can do that. We can call families with our phones, with our computers, and we don't even have to get our personal information out there. Google Voice is free. My wife, she's an SLP, and that's how she gets in contact with her families and talks to them and schedules the IEPs and such instead of using the work phone. So doing stuff like that and actually calling families is going to be a big surprise to the students, and they're going to remember that stuff. Brain breaks. Really important to have brain breaks. The brain breaks are really great because of the fact that they allow the student to just step away from the work and just like refresh themselves. It's like for them, it's like eliminating them going to the bathroom because they're bored. So what we do for sometimes when my group goes into to meet with students, we do the brain breaks. And so we tell them to they have to stand up, spin around, and do a little dance. So do brain breaks. Seek and receive feedback constantly. Getting data from your students is really crucial for you right now, because you want to make sure that the students are understanding what you're trying to teach. And also it gives you an idea of where you need to go as a lesson. Do you go forward? Do you need to step back a little bit? And also ask the students how you as an educator are doing when you're delivering this material. I know it's scary. I know sometimes it's going to be maybe a little disappointing at sometimes to see something, but as an educator, this is our job. We're there to improve, to constantly get better and become a better educator, so we don't stay stagnant and we don't become that teacher we didn't like when we were growing up. Okay, we become that teacher we always wanted to be and why we became a teacher. Okay, so let me look at some responses. Morning greetings and circle time together. Yes. Use chat and response boards. Regular temperature checks. Questionnaires demonstrating that their voice is important in creating new choices. Private Zoom meetings. Yes. With students who are shy. Yes. That honestly, for my daughter, super shy, wouldn't talk for the first month and a half, and her teacher would actually meet with her. So kudos to you teachers and educators out there that are doing that for students that are shy. Be caring and compassionate with students. Yeah, I think this pandemic has shown students more than ever how human us educators really are, that we do have families, that we do have lives, that we do go through grief and suffering sometimes. So I think it definitely has played a crucial role on this pandemic. So let's see, we are moving forward. So your content, okay, you can create it instead of face to face does not mean the same as online. This is what I was talking about earlier, that you can't you can't have students expect to hear you lecture for an hour. Studies, there was a 2014 study that says that the average watching time is about 6 minutes, and significant drop-offs after that. So remember, your students may get bored, they may get distracted, they may not have the ability to hear well what you're trying to say. So keep it short and simple and to the point. Create videos. I used to work with a teacher who did this even before the pandemic, but a student that had a problem with a math equation or theory or theorem, and said, I don't understand this. He said, okay, what problem are you having a problem with? And number 14. So the teacher actually did it, recorded himself doing the problem and explained every single part of it. And then he sent that video to the students. So create your own videos is really crucial and really great, because not only that, they already are going to start developing that relationship with you that isn't happening face to face. They're going to have that familiar voice. They're going to remember how you instruct and how you work as an educator. So create your own stuff. Polls and forms, again, kind of talking back about that a little bit ago, but polls and forms are really great to get an idea of where you go as a class. What possible projects can you do as a group? Are you going to do a service project versus a different type of project? I'm not sure. But, or would the students rather do an exam, open book exam, as opposed to making a video? So think about that stuff. Get input from your students, because again, they're going to feel like they're part of the solution. Resource page, talking about that a little bit earlier as well. But being in a place that has all the stuff that the students are going to need throughout the entire time when they're with you. Are they going to have a place where the OWL for Purdue, how to cite things for your class, a great place for parents and students. So you want to make it simple for everybody. Enhance your LMS. So making things like Bitmoji classrooms has been really popular. And I highly encourage you, if you ever see a Bitmoji PD, like check it out. It's really awesome. And then when you actually can download the add-on onto your computer, and you can actually make your character do certain things, as you probably have seen throughout my presentation, and that adds that human level that the kids are like really excited because it's really hip and cool. And instead of giving big tests, and small quizzes, we got to remember that these students are having a little bit of a brain overload right now. So small quizzes are really great. 5 questions, 10 questions, and you get an idea of them how they are doing in your class with that. All right. But some schools are reopening. This presentation was useless. Well, it could have been, but I like to beg to differ, to think about that this stuff can be easily applicable to you right now, whether or not your school is reopening or not. We are in a situation now where all of us are very, very well versed with how to do things that we didn't know how to do before, using Zoom, using Google Classroom. So you could still apply what you learned to right now. So share resources online and offline. So you can have things that are available for students if they go into your classroom or they don't go into your classroom. Handing out pamphlets can't really happen as much as it used to. So how's a way you can share these resources with your students in class now? Create QR codes. Create a wall of QR codes that has a place where students can easily get their phone and just scan something that they need to scan. Because social emotional learning is really crucial right now. These students are going to come back. They've been through a type of trauma that none of us have ever experienced. So making sure that you have constant resources online on your LMS or your Twitter or anything like that, or in class with QR codes, is going to be really great and crucial. Building community. Okay. Continue that group community building where you are actually communicating with each other online, whether you're together or you're not. So posting questions to your students on your LMS. What did you do this weekend that was fun? What was the highlight of your weekend? Or set challenges for them where you're actually say, do 5 good deeds by the end of the day, and write them what they are. So you're able to build a community with these students, because again, during this pandemic, we really made ourselves a little vulnerable for the students to see like what the inside of our house looks like. So the students now, we need to be more of a guide. We can't be that teacher that's up there at the top lecturing, this is what you do, because we have all these skills now that we can incorporate. So guide their learning. So that causes us as an individual to look at our curriculum. How can we make it different? How can we make it better? How can we incorporate the lifelong learning into the actual lifelong learning into the classroom? I think what's really great is that we need to harness their curiosity. Students are really curious about how this happened and want to solve problems so that way this doesn't happen again. This generation really cares about global warming. So harness that curiosity. There was an EdWeek research article that was out, survey that came out, and it said that 55% of high school teachers, principals, and district leaders said that their students' interest in healthcare jobs has increased during the pandemic. And the same idea with information technology jobs. So this is something that we could use to our advantage as educators. How could we use the data that we got from the pandemic, in different areas, make these students incorporate lifelong learning into their class, into your stuff. So remember that our students have new acquired tech skills. They know how to operate a laptop and navigate through an iPad pretty well now. My daughter, 9 years old, seeing her navigate through Google Classroom and the Google Suite is has just baffled me to see that she has that. So now you as educators, whether you're in second grade educator or third grade educator, you could ask the students to put together a presentation with Google Slides now. And I say that because my daughter was a second grader doing it, and now she's doing it again as a third grader. So you can do this. You can do these types of activities with these students. And because of that, the students are more confident with technology. You yourself may be more confident now. So you may want to take it up a notch with your students when it comes to that, doing those types of things. Let's see. Yeah, someone exactly said that. In-person classroom can still use all online remote strategies by Alejandro. Yes, thank you. It's absolutely true. They have an enhanced vocabulary now. Students now know what Zoom means or video conferencing means at at like a really early age. They know different, Google Chrome. They know Google Classroom. They know the different types of lingo, COVID, disease. They're starting to learn, and they have an enhanced vocabulary now. And because of this, they have been working with one another, and they have been collaborating with one another too. So those things that we've been trying to happen outside of the classroom are beginning to happen. So let's think about that. What other new skills will our students return with? So let's think about that and show the responses. Research skills and citation of sources. Yeah, absolutely. They definitely understand the idea of going to Google Scholar now, understand time management better, self-reliant. Yep, absolutely. My students are a lot more familiar with tech tools like Google Classroom, knowing how to annotate in PDF, making Google Classroom. Ethical and moral use of technology. Yes, absolutely. I'm waiting for the see what the junior students hesitate to talk. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they don't talk. So um, yeah, yeah. It's funny that they definitely do that. Yep. They message. So think about that type of stuff where like these students are coming in with these types of things where they didn't before. Various ways to present the results of a research-based. Yeah. See, students' interest. It's really, really important that we remember that. Becoming more equipped for the future. Online office hours, support systems, being able to type faster. Yep. So doing things like that, annotating, speak to large groups, introverted students become extroverted. Yep. Really great stuff, everybody. And Google everything. Yeah. So, so that's types of things you need to do and think about when you're actually looking at your lesson plans. That ungoogleable question, that something that makes them. So instead of doing maybe project-based learning, have them doing challenge-based learning where they come up with the challenge and they have to come up with what the project is and such. So doing things like that will definitely help your classroom. And as I'm rounding the end of my presentation, we have to remember that we are not alone in this. We are all in this together. Okay. We all have had those moments where we just want to break down and just get really upset about what's going on. And yeah, we're really struggling with our days sometimes, because a family member may have passed away from COVID, and so administrators that are out there that are watching this and listening to this, remind your parents that when you're talking to them about this pandemic and what we're going through, like remind them that your teachers, that your faculty and staff, like they're parents too. They may be taking care of someone. We need to remind them that we are human at the end as well. And I think once we continue to do that, again, the community is going to be building. So just being real, I guess, is the best way I can say it. Susan wrote that seniors are reluctant to share and freshmen are struggling to make connections with peers. Yeah, it's definitely true because of the fact that they, um, you know, they're going. No senior classes have ever had to go through their entire senior year in their house, in their home. So it's really crazy to see what these kids are going with through and how they're going to be able to come out of it at the end. But it's definitely something that you should take advantage of. Again, have the students work on vlogs, um, create a video about the entire pandemic. So let's see what people are sharing. The hunger for learning, knowledge, and mindsets in the midst of hard times. Yeah, find a way and make all situations daily. A desire to make sure students do not fall behind. Finding new ways to present material has also taught me as well. Yeah, definitely making sure my students keep going. Great, awesome. I know that's definitely, I'm not alone in that too. So keep the passion. Yep. Community. It will end at some point. Yes, it will. I'm in California. They say everything's supposedly um, they're everything June 15th. So when they say everything's supposed to be reopened, prayer, music, conversation to distress. Yeah. Again, you having those conversations with the students, being like, uh, you know, being real with them is going to be probably really exciting to them because, they're like, wow, I get to know that about so and so, and they let me in. Let's see. We are struggling. Someone put, we are struggling, so we must be aware that students are as well. Yep, absolutely. Seeing my students online with me. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, yeah, your students more. That's me and my daughter. She struggles with math, so I do my best to try and help her as much as possible. Knowing that students need an education, yeah. And again, not only education, but these lifelong learning skills. Again, um, use this opportunity also to, you know, to, if you're science class or, reach out to parents and see what their careers are and maybe have them come in and have them talk about their career and demonstrate how to use it. For example, I had one third grade teacher get a hold of a parent that was an electrician, and that parent taught conductors and electricity and flow of electricity because that third grade teacher didn't know that. So having parents involved as much as possible is really great for your students as well because there's someone actually there to see. So these are all my resources that I used for my presentation right there. And yeah, so thank you very much. This is my other email that I have as well at the very end of my on my presentation profile here. But yeah, thank you all very much. Um, if you have questions or conversation, people, go ahead and type it away. They're going to be giving you a survey, so make sure to do that survey because like I said earlier, surveys are a great way to see how you can become a better educator, and I want us to make sure I become a better presenter. So thank you all very much. What advice would you have for incorporating a small group one-on-one time when you have a large number of students? Definitely thinking about just like a structured time. So, office hours. One thing you can do is maybe 5 students a day, and you just tell them like, this is what we're gonna do every single day or every single Monday at 8 to 8:15. I'm yours. And then you just have that there just for them, and then just tell them like, look, I'm gonna be there for you. It's not mandatory for you to come, but I would like you to come because I just want to see how you're doing and stuff. But I will check in, and you can even tell them like, you don't have to check in, but I will check in with you every other week then if you don't come in one week. So there will be a mandated stuff. So working on that type of structure would be really great. Do I have a link to the whole slide deck? if you could, let me see if I can get a hold of that. Let me stop my share. Yeah, I'll get that to you. Yeah, okay, so they said they're going to put it in the description of the session, so they'll do that. So yeah, so that would be my best recommendation. Structured time that you have with your students, that every week that's when they meet. So great question, and I hope that answered it. All right, I'm gonna turn off my video. Cool, thank you everybody.